The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe. This is the United Podcast Network.
Welcome to Tell Us Why, a podcast for the financial freedom community. If you're looking to succeed in your quest for financial freedom, make sure you join us every week as we, along with our guests, discuss different stories of success, how they were achieved, and how you can do the same. And of course, we ask them to tell us why. Here are your hosts, Jack and Mike.
Welcome to the Tell Us Why podcast. I'm your host, Jack Dalrymple, here alongside my co-host, Mr. Michael Ketchin.
How we doing?
Good. How are you doing?
Bought and sold an Airbnb in Montana. I'm on cloud 9.
Oh, is that official? It's over?
It's over. Today was the day.
Jackpot. Luxury Airbnb investing. Go back to 2 episodes ago, parts 1 and 2 Airbnb investing.
Yeah, you'll find it on YouTube.
YouTube, yeah. There you go.
Spotify, iTunes, all that good stuff.
I like it.
How you
I
doing?
like it. I am just living the dream.
Living the dream. How's the business going?
Why are you laughing at me?
Well, because something happened yesterday on our mastermind call that happened about a month ago, right?
This guy.
And you have a management company.
This guy.
And you didn't know
so,
okay.
Whatever. Fire department broke down a door down in the basement. I didn't realize it until a week and a half after it happened. It wasn't a big deal. There's nothing in there, but
The property manager still got his check, though, didn't he?
So
Yes,
going
he
into
did.
that, what's going on in my business is I'm going to do weekly check-ins at the very bare minimum. So systems every week
Oh, this
going
comes
there.
back to systems. I am so pumped for today's guest.
I am too.
This
I'm
is
kind of
so
excited.
important to what we're doing. Why don't you tell a little bit who we got on today?
So this week we have Jeffrey, Kenneth, and Kerwin Donis.
Ooh, trifecta, the brothers.
Trifecta, the brothers. We got twins down there. So they'll be on in a minute. The Donis Investment Group purchases and operates apartments. Through syndications, they work with passive investors who receive the benefits of multifamily real estate without the hassle. They also have a podcast called the Real Estate Monopoly Podcast.
Excellent podcast.
Tune
Check it out
into
if you haven't had a
that.
chance.
Absolutely.
So I think before we bring him in, though, should we hear what this week's episode is brought to us by?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Are you sick of being treated like just another number by large insurance companies? Do you want a more personalized experience with somebody that you can trust? With Keith Monteith, that's exactly what you'll get. Keith is an experienced professional who can design an insurance plan tailored to fit your specific needs. With access to over 30 insurance carriers, Keith is able to shop numerous markets to find a price that works for you. So if you want an insurance agent that you can rely on and one that has your best interests at heart, then call or text Keith today on 978-241-2363. That's 978-241-2363. Keith Monty. He'll get you covered.
All right. So as I mentioned, Jeffrey, Kenneth, and Kerwin Donis built a portfolio of cash-flowing rentals and a 6-figure business as real estate investors. The Donis Investment Group purchases and operates apartments through syndications. They provide investors great returns, mitigated risk, and passive income. As passive investors, their clients receive the benefit of multifamily real estate without the hassle of operating the asset. That sounds fantastic.
Jack knows about the hassle. So.
That sounds fantastic. But before we get to that,
Yeah, I wanted to say thank you guys again for being here. And what I just think is awesome is, we connected. I'm going to be on an upcoming episode, I believe, so some cross podcasts, which is cool. And what's really important, what we're doing with Tell Us Why, I heard a few episodes, I recognize the name. I meet Kerwin. I didn't know the backstory per se, and to see how young you guys were getting into this is so important, and it's hitting us so close to home. So I just want to make sure everybody, I'm so pumped for this episode. I'm so excited to have you guys here, and I love seeing real estate, and I think when we think of real estate, we think later in life, passive investments, things like that. And when I met Kerwin, I was like blown away. I'm like, this is awesome. I'm fired up. I'm ready to go. So thank you guys for being here for sure.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us.
Very excited to be here.
All right.
all right. Well, guys,
Dive
thanks
into
for
it.
coming. So, I just want to kick it off. Why don't you tell everyone, our listeners, who you are and where the business is at today?
Yeah, I can start us off. This is Jeffrey Donis. My 2 brothers here, we started real estate a few years ago, and we live here in Durham, North Carolina.
Yeah, and this is Kenneth Donis. I'm 23. We started real estate a few years ago, and we are now in multifamily real estate.
I'm 20, by the way.
Yeah, and I'm Jeffrey's twin brother. I'm 20 as well. My name's Kerwin.
That's awesome. And kind of Jack's point, where are you guys at in the business today? As a 23, 20, and 20-year-olds, where are you guys at right now with millions of dollars in real estate? This is awesome. Go ahead.
Yeah, we actually just closed on one of our first multifamily deals yesterday. So we're pretty much what we do is we raise capital and we also help operate on the deals. Kenneth can kind of talk more about what he does. We each have our individual roles, but yeah, we're just looking to scale. Obviously, we're very young, but we have a lot of energy, and we're just kind of looking to help people along the way.
Yeah, so pretty much at the moment, I handle all acquisitions. So I'm always studying markets, looking at deals, meeting with brokers, building relationship with brokers, underwriting deals. So we're just looking for our next opportunity. At the moment, we have some things in the pipeline that we're currently working on. But as my brother just mentioned, we just closed yesterday on a 138-unit apartment complex in Jacksonville, Florida, yesterday with
Awesome.
alongside our partners. So yeah, that's one thing that we just got done this week, but many more to come.
That's
Yeah.
awesome.
I don't have much to add, but I'm in charge of the podcast, The Real Estate Monopoly, like you guys mentioned. And on that show, we're aiming to target people that are in that analysis paralysis phase of their journey and get them to just take action.
That's awesome.
That's fantastic. I feel like a lot of people, some of them on our mastermind maybe,
Yeah.
I'm not going to say names, but a lot of people get stuck in that analysis by paralysis, haven't pulled the trigger. So that's great. I'm really excited for you guys doing that. And the podcast is great.
Yeah, and it's been great to listen to, and it leads to one of the first questions I want to ask is, I think we talk about here, your systems are important, but also your circle of influence is important. Given you guys' age, given, the type, obviously technology, the internet's been a game changer, but what got you into this? What got you thinking about your why in your, in your 20s, when a lot of times I wish I could sit here and tell you my friends were thinking about this at 21, and unfortunately we were not. I wish we were. So this is awesome. So what was the why to bring three brothers together to say we're going to do this at such a young age? Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, I can start us off. This is Jeffrey. Kenneth he can tell you the story of how we got into real estate in general, but our mom is from Guatemala. She's a single mother. We went there for the first time in December of 2019, going into the new year, 2020, and we saw firsthand the impoverished state that my mom grew up in. So, I mean, these are like my cousins, my direct uncles, aunts. We were there for 3 weeks, so like a very, very humbling experience, and we were reading a lot of awesome books that we were just kind of there learning and kind of taking everything that we had in the United States. We realized we were taking that for granted. So as soon as we came back, that's what kind of spearheaded our journey into real estate. But I can kind of let my brothers pick up where I left off.
So I would say the catalyst was the experience we had in Guatemala, but leading up to that, I was personally in school to become a physician assistant.
Okay.
And that was what I wanted to do. I mean, I would say I enjoyed it. But I would also say I was probably more so doing it for the income it could potentially produce in the long run. So I was actually sitting in my apartment, and this was 2018 springtime, and I was watching The Breakfast Club, and a guy named Mark Whitten came on, and he started speaking about wholesaling real estate and how he came from the hood. He came from nothing. He used to basically sell drugs and just come from a very, very low income background and just do anything he could to survive. But he came on speaking about how he built a multi-million-dollar business with no money, no cash, no credit, and no education. And that really caught my attention because, like I said, I was studying to be a physician assistant, and I was hoping that eventually after graduating, I could make six figures, and I never thought millions, So that was the first time I actually heard someone say that they came from nothing and made a multi-million-dollar business. And basically in that video, it was almost as if the video was speaking to me, because he said, if you're watching this, you can do it as well. And it makes me no different. And that's what kind of just got me interested in learning about real estate. Like, what is real estate? I didn't know at the time. So then, like my brother said, we went to Guatemala after watching, YouTube videos on it, listening to a lot of podcasts and reading some personal development books. After, what we saw, we knew we had to, it was in our hands, and I can let Kerwin kind of go.
Well, I don't have much to add, but I will say we all read Rich Dad Poor Dad. That book, I always like to say that is the book that broke us.
The Bible.
Before then, we thought like I would in high school, I would look up because we all wanted to make money, we all wanted to succeed, and I would always look up what is the job that would pay me the most. I didn't even think starting a business was an option, and I almost felt betrayed by my mentors and just my teachers in school because no one had ever told me that I could start a business. And so when I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, it really exposed me that was to that option. And once we came back from Guatemala, like my brother said, we'd been putting off the business for so long, but literally the day we got back, we started taking action because we realized that time and the resources and opportunities we have here is a privilege. And I like to say we won the lottery by being born here because we were one generation away from extreme poverty. And so it was like a privilege and almost like we just didn't have an excuse. And so that's why we decided to take action.
And I would tell everybody, go back and listen to that.
Yeah.
Is that not the best why we've ever had?
Yeah.
Thank you guys for absolutely crushing it. And we talk about the mindset and the systems, and everyone kind of has that aha moment. And Rich Dad, Poor Dad, and these books and these catalysts, and to make it real.
Yeah.
I mean, wow, just an unbelievable
I mean,
answer.
what is it? MJ DeMarco, he calls it the "fuck this" event.
Yeah,
where it's like,
it really is.
It's the one thing that like kicks it off, and for some people, I mean, it's different for every single person. But one of the things that I wanted to touch on is I did the same thing that Kenneth, you were talking about. Like going to school to be a physician's assistant. Like I wanted to finance because I thought that's where the money was made. Like
because we don't know this, right?
We don't know. Yeah,
and we talk about what they teach us.
So I go like I'm not going to be an engineer or anything like that. I'm not going to be a professional athlete, despite this amazing physique. But what are you laughing at? Like chasing the money, it's not going to get you there. Like sure you can make six figures, but like that.
Well, it's that shift, right? And I think you guys hit on it, and I think we can get into that because it ties into the why. Because it sounds like every entrepreneur kind of goes through this similar journey in a different way where we all, same thing, you're Googling, right? I was raised by a single mother. We've got into it, similar story. We think, well, what do we associate with money? Well, we trade with leverage. We've talked about leverage in the Financial Freedom series. Go back and listen to past episodes. When you're leveraging one-to-one, your income is capped, right? Whenever you're trading your time for money. So you want to take care of your mother. You guys go through that. And I love what you said because I feel the same way. We won the lottery when you're born here, truly in this land of opportunity that's in front of us. But how do we leverage? What do we teach? And what I want to clarify is it's not that our teachers are not teaching us this. It's that the people in our lives don't know this. So they teach us what they know. And we talk about it. And you guys are living proof. If someone gives you advice and they are not living the life you want, politely ignore it. Because if they're not in that position, it's very dangerous. You know, if someone's teaching you history, and again, I'm coming from education, they're very good at what they do. How are they going to teach you to build an Amazon? Right? Think of that delta. Think about solving that problem. The great thing about entrepreneurship, and I'm sure we'll get into this in your journey, is there's someone out there with the answers. And a lot of times people think it's like secretive, right? It's like, oh, we got to carefully guard this stuff. Every successful person I've met, who I'm talking is truly, absolutely crushing it, has an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset. And if you're surrounding yourself with people who have a scarcity mindset, which is usually your family, your close friends, the people who look at you and go, you're going to leave your 100K a year job? Dude, you're nuts. Well, no, you're going to go work and get to live when you're 65. I think you're fucking nuts. But we can get into that. So I just think just great answer. Tremendous.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
I mean, again, it's going back to the full accountability. Like
extreme accountability.
Yeah, that's what we're all about. Like here, you have to take responsibility for your own life. And it's even to the point, like talking about education. My son, he's in 4th grade, but I'm like, the other day he comes from school and I'm like, hey, bud, how was employee training today? And he's like, oh,
what do you mean,
good.
Dad?
Like,
yeah.
He's giving me crap about it.
And this is how Jack gets in trouble at home on the podcast.
Fact.
So with that said, what I'd like to know is you guys are, so this is a year, 2 years ago, 22, 19 respectively. You go and tell your family and your friends, guess what, guys? We're going to do real estate. And no, we're not just going to go flip a house. We're not going to wholesale. Turns out we're going to learn the great thing that is multifamily. We're going to make 6-figure returns. We're going to be millionaires. How does that go with your inner circle who's on YouTube and playing Fortnite all night? How's that go? Tell me how that goes.
Yeah, so I can just quickly start us off with, we got into wholesaling. Eventually, it was 13 months. It took us 6 months to get our first deal. I'm just hustling. I'm sure you guys know, cold calling ourselves. We didn't have any money, so we took out about $7,000 of debt over that 6-month period. Hadn't closed our first deal. We had to keep going back to our mom because she had access to our savings account, And she kept giving us money and wasn't seeing anything come back in. So she was getting really upset. Eventually, she was like, this is the last time. And then like a week later, we closed 2 deals on the same day. And it was a lot of hustle, but that kind of was the first time that we realized, okay, everyone said we couldn't do it. We had, and like you said, Mike, don't take advice from someone you wouldn't trade places with. We had one of our friends' mother tell us that we weren't doing something correctly because we should have either gone the college route or gotten our license. And we didn't do either. And I asked, Kerwin came in one day and was like very discouraged after he heard that. And I told him, Kerwin, has she built a business? And he said no. And I said, okay. I kept working.
I love that. I love that. Can I jump in real quick too? And this is why Jack, sometimes I would say me and Jack are each other's accountability partners, but one of us yells a lot more than the other one.
It's because someone talks a lot more than the other.
Yes, exactly. You need those people in your life though, because, and I told her about Matt and Hannah, you've had those meetings. I'll call you. Like I was very frustrated the other day with something else. I called Jack. You need those people in your life because it is hard. I mean, this journey is hard. We're not saying this is easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. So you have those pivotal moments, and Kerwin, you probably don't even realize, and you know, Jeffrey, you probably don't realize the impact you just had in that pivotal moment where you said the right thing, and it kind of resets and goes, that's why we're doing this. Yep. And that is so important to surround yourself with positive people. We talk about it. If someone's negative, it's a cancer you got to cut. You got to cut it right. It's not on them to end the relationship. It's on you to end the relationship because there's nothing worse than negative people.
100%. And I think it was important because all three of us, we really just hang out with each other mainly. We have some friends that are also, we inspire them to become entrepreneurs as well. But before that, it was just us three. And we were all just, that summer, COVID had hit. So I'll get back into my story, but we were all at home and we didn't have a reason to leave. Kerwin had left to go hang out with that one friend. And that's kind of how he was outside of our sphere of influence. So once he kind of got out of our, like, I would say
bubble.
Yeah, a little bubble of like positive energy, like just feeding off of each other, a constant mastermind. He came back in with someone else's energy, and immediately it was like, no, we're not allowing that in. Cut it off, and then we just kind of jumped right back in. But that's why we're very, very selective with who we actually hang out with, and et cetera. And we can kind of get into that. To go back into the story, we 13 months in, eventually we closed like 13 wholesale deals. We did some creative financing deals. I dropped out of school that summer after I closed my first deal. Kenneth, me and me did it collectively at the same time. And then it was January of 2020 that we decided multifamily was what we wanted to do. Kerwin could pick up here. It was a long journey for sure.
Absolutely. And to touch on that, I mean, expand on that energy and just surrounding yourself with the right people. The last time I went to ask my mom for money, she was so discouraging. She's like, you guys are wasting your time. You guys should have stayed in school. My brothers had dropped out. I was still in school at the time. She said, like, you guys are wasting your time. You're wasting your money. You're just going to, I don't know. She's like, just all negative energy. And then I walked into my brother's room, and I had been aware at that point that I go to them when I'm feeling low and I need to be recharged. And I think we were also aware at that point. Yep. And so I walked up to Kenneth and I pretty much told him, like, make me feel better. Right now, Mom just said all this. Remind me why we're doing this. And he did. He said the right things and picked me back up. And I was like, okay, I feel better now. And then kept going.
That's awesome. I just absolutely love that.
I would also add, I believe as an entrepreneur, we're no different than everyone. We just see I guess you could call them coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences, but we see the insights in our lives. And once we start, I guess, picking up on those insights and actually kind of making note of them, we are being guided. And I do remember this one very, very big pivotal moment, which was what kind of gave me the spark of why am I even in school. I was in one of my kinesiology classes, and I loved the class and I loved the professor. Yep. But unfortunately, I had turned in a late assignment, and the professor had pulled me aside during the class and said, "Hey, Kenneth, you always speak about your business. You always speak about what you're doing. I know you love it." She actually had her license, so she was an agent. She was like, "I'm a realtor on the side. And I understand the hustle. I know what you're going through. And I understand this is unacceptable, though. You can't turn in your work late." And I told her, I apologize. I've been very busy. And she said, "Okay, well, it seems like you're very passionate about this business. So let me ask you this question that I want you to think about very hard and clear. Why are you here?" And then I looked at her. I've never had a teacher or professor ask me why I was still in school pursuing something that, I guess I didn't want to. But that's what made me realize at that point that, it was just for me to leave school and just kind of be guided into this awesome journey that we've, found ourselves upon.
Yeah, I had a very, very similar conversation with someone when I was leaving my job, and my intention was to go back and look for another job that I hated doing, and just do it again for the next 10 years. I was already investing in real estate, but my plan at the time was to buy one single family every year for 10 years, and then leave my job. And meeting with this woman, we can go back to it in my episode. You don't know Jack. Second episode? First
Second
episode?
episode, early on, yeah.
Early on in the podcast, but basically this woman was like, you have a job, make it work. And
Just the light
it
bulb.
was just that's it. Like, that's all it took. Her saying that at that moment was just, all right, I'm doing it. It's going to happen.
And it goes back to the why, right? And you just kind of touched on your why. It tied into that trip in Guatemala really sparked something inside of you that made you reevaluate. And that's why we asked that question, because when we talk about a why, I think people hear that. And the way that teacher phrased it to you is great in the sense that it made you reflect and have an honest dialogue with yourself. And it's so hard to be honest with ourselves, but when you get those gut reactions, what is important to you? What does it boil down to? What makes you excited? Not necessarily what you enjoy to do, not, what makes you feel warm and fuzzy. I don't buy that bullshit. Like, you don't get paid to be warm and fuzzy. But what is truly the thing that will make you run through a wall? What is the thing that someone will not outwork you for? And over time, it is going to change. And that's what we're doing on Tell Us Why. You guys' why resonated. And I'm sure I happen to be fortunate enough. A lot of my closest friends are Latino. I grew up around the culture, Dominican, Puerto Rican. I know that culture. I know the pressure and the value placed on education. I cannot express to the people who are going to listen to this the burden that these young men got to stare down, because I guarantee there were some tough conversations. But that why, to see it firsthand and to understand, you said it so good, we're one generation removed from extreme poverty. One generation. Yeah. So to get into that, so, we're running over, and we have so much we want to touch into here. And I think it's important to clarify, because you guys, I think they're one of the first guests we've had who syndicate. Can you guys touch on real quick syndication in a real super, not super in depth? We'll bring you guys into the Facebook group, into the community to go more in depth. But really, how does that work? What does it mean to syndicate a deal?
Yeah. So basically the definition of syndication is when you raise money and go out and basically purchase something and you provide securities, which basically means you provide a return on investment. So we just raise equity or money and then go out and buy apartment complexes, and we provide a return on investment that is produced by the apartment complex to our investors, who are the ones that we raise the money from. So pretty much we buy apartments with other people's money, but they get a benefit from it as far as return on investment, taxes, and they're owners in the apartment as well.
And I know 40, 50, 6-year-olds who have a hard time wrapping their head around that concept. Have you guys, because I would like to ask, you're going to some people who might be in their 50s who want to invest with their self-directed IRAs, their 401ks. Have you guys, the energy you bring is obviously great. Was anyone a little like, wait a minute, you're younger? Have you got any pushback on that? How have you guys dealt with that? Because I know that it would be some concerns. I deal with that now in my 30s. How is that like raising hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Yeah, I would say the main thing is, one, we spend a lot of time, like we do take this very seriously. So the knowledge that we have when we have these conversations, they don't necessarily question. All of it's on the phone too, so they don't question. They don't see me. And they might say my voice sounds pretty young, which I'm sure it does. But other than that, like the words that are coming out of my mouth, a lot of the times I am the expert on the phone. But at the same time, we are a part of a team that we have awesome operators alongside us that have a lot more experience than we do, just because, for one, they're obviously doing very well, but they've been here longer than we have. So they definitely have a lot more experience, and we tend to leverage that as well.
That's awesome. Track record. So that's why it's important to, partner with somebody that has been doing the business, is well known, and
has a good reputation as well.
Yeah,
that's
awesome.
But
it is different in person now. We like to travel a lot to go out to these networking events, usually big multifamily events or just real estate events in general. And even in single family, like just real estate in general, when we tell people that we are in real estate, they may not believe it at first, but when they start speaking about whatever it may be and whatever topic in real estate, and then see that we can actually have a good conversation about that topic, and know that we're very, experienced, not necessarily experienced, but we have the knowledge to actually back it up, they actually, they definitely give us our respect.
I like to say age is a mindset. So really, we work very hard to have been in the place that we're at, and I don't think anyone can necessarily question that because the results don't really lie.
It's spot on, and that's why I think it shows. That's why you're getting success, and it goes into it. And I think that's a phenomenal answer. All right.
Absolutely agree. One thing I wanted to touch on before we move on to the addicted to problem solving is I know all three of you here right now, but what is it like investing with family? I asked Mike this question. I asked his wife this question when she was on the podcast. What is it like?
I
can start that one off. I would say, like first and foremost, you want to make sure that you're friends, because a lot of times people have that misconception that family doesn't work, and I think that's because they don't get along with their family members to begin with. But we just happen to be get along really well. I would say these are my best friends. So we get along really well. It's really good. You know that you can trust them and that these people have your best interest at heart. And we also are very direct with each other. And I know I can say what I want to them, and I know they won't go home and cry. They're just doing, I can be really blunt and straightforward. I respect them, and they have that same sentiment towards me.
All right, guys, you set it up.
We're very honest with each other. And I think that's like the one thing that I don't know anyone else in my life that I can just be completely honest without, like, feelings aside, emotions aside. I'm going to be, Kerwin will come for me for like any criticism, and I'll give it to him. And I know he doesn't want to hear it, but like I enjoy giving it to him, one, because I like seeing him like, oh man, I wish he wouldn't have said that. At the same time, it's like, who else can you go to and expect an honest answer? I think for us, we grew up very close, and that was people. This is kind of going off topic, but people go on and look at adversity. A lot of people, they like to play the victim. For me, I take it, and I'm like, I'm grateful that I had that, because having a single mother meant my mom was all the time. She was working, but that means I was closer to my brothers all throughout. Like every single day, we were at home all together, and we only had each other, so that's why we were so close. And any problem we had to deal with it there together, because there was no one else to go to. So that's really what made us very strong, and we were able to just overcome things. Like even if we got in a fight growing up, where can you go? Like the other room, you know what I mean? Like you're gonna have to so like just growing up like that together, it's something that we brought us very close. So now in business, this is very easy. I think it's honestly, people are scared to do business with your family. Honestly, I would never want to do business with anyone else for right now. And then eventually, obviously, I'd branch off, but I'm grateful to have them for sure.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I would also add, I think we're really adamant on trying to grow, and that's spiritually, physically, mentally, and financially, of course. So we push each other to try to become the best version of ourselves. We have 24 hours, and if you're not growing within the 24 hours that are to come, you're dying, because you're only getting older. So if you're staying the same, you're getting a day older, so you're technically dying. So we try to push each other to just be as just kill the day, put in all you have today, and then eat dinner, go to sleep. We wake up again early, we go to the gym, and we just kill tomorrow. So we just take it day by day, but we definitely push each other to just be the best we can every day.
I love it. Love it. It's one of my favorite quotes. A true friend doesn't tell you what you want to hear. They tell you what you need to hear. So that's a great way to put it.
Yeah, I like it. All right. So now moving on to addicted to problem solving. Today's question was submitted via Facebook from Zachary McNamara, Zach Mac. And his question is, what advice would you give to someone looking to raise capital for the first time?
Good question.
Yeah, I would say it really depends on the investment. But first, I would think having faith in yourself. And a lot of people might have an imposter syndrome if you have never done it before. But as you mentioned, Mike, your sphere of influence is very, very important. So we started hanging out with people that were raising money before we raised money. And just seeing them talk about it and actually do it almost like it was very easy made us have that, like, whether it was a false belief or just faith that we could do it as well. And you kind of ask them questions. So I think having some type of contact or someone in your sphere of influence that you can at least learn from, and that confidence will roll off on you. So that way, when your time comes to raise capital, it's going to be a lot easier.
Great answer. And to add to that, it actually circles back to what Kenneth was saying before that. We all get the same 24 hours, right? So I want you to go back and dissect the way he answered that question when you listen to this, because there were so many nuggets even in that answer. Ties into the 24 hours and how you're investing. He's mirroring behavior. He's going out and seeking the answers and seeking those who are doing it. So he's leveraging his time to get the resources, to get the skills. That's what I just picked up on that answer. And it's so important, because too often as we grow in this business, and I'm dealing with this right now, we don't say no enough. We're not selfish enough with our time. So the energy we have left for ourselves is just exhausting. So great answer. But we're about to put you guys in the hot seat. This is the big three. But before we do that, we're going to tell you who, we're going to hear from our sponsors for who this segment is brought to us by.
Oh, we're doing it now, not at the quote of the week.
He just threw me a curveball right there because he wrote it on the piece of paper and told me to do that. So there it is.
But just one thing, Zach, please reach out to us. We'll get your Tell Us Why swag. Reach out to us on Facebook, and we'll get that over to you.
All right. Our big three sponsor, our new sponsor, welcome on board, is QS Private Lending. Are you looking to finance your next deal quickly and reliably with less hassle and paperwork? QS Private Lending is one of the oldest and largest hard money lenders to real estate investors in New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and Rhode Island. They're quick and simple. Short-term loans require no appraisals, and they've enabled hundreds of builders and investors to profitably acquire and renovate thousands of residential and commercial properties. To experience the QS difference for yourself, call or text Luke Conroy today on 315-323-0250. That is 315-323-0250. QS Private Lending. Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Happy to have him here. Yeah. So excited. And as you know, someone who's grown his business, as you guys know, with creative financing, I've done private money, I've done hard money, and I can't recommend Luke and the folks at QS Private Lending enough. So with that, you guys ready? We're going to jump into the big three questions.
It's time.
Time to put them in the hot seat. So what we're going to do is we'll start. You guys kind of will throw it to you. You go in order, and we'll just run through these. But it's important. We want to hear everyone's perspective. Kick us off.
All right, so we'll kick it off with a college question. So in your eyes, is college worth it?
No. Are we allowed to be you just want me to be quick? I'll say no.
You answer whichever way you want, man. We're on no time cruncher.
It depends on who you are. If you want to go and be something that you need to get a specialized degree in, whether that's accounting, being a lawyer, being a doctor, then I do think it's worth it. But if you're not sure, I don't think just going to college, I think that's a waste of time. You'll probably end up doing something stupid or just wasting your time. So I do think that just looking into other options is definitely a better move.
Right. Yeah, pretty much add on to that. It depends on what kind of specialized knowledge you need to or you're looking to acquire. Like you said, doctor, lawyer are pretty much, well, I wouldn't say pretty much, but the two that come to mind that I would definitely want my doctors and lawyers to go to school. But, if you're looking to be in business in any way, honestly, just doing it would be more beneficial, and you'll learn a lot more than getting a business degree, I would say.
Make sure your mother and your aunt's not listening. So
I'll be quick. I would like do the opposite. My child would have to make a strong case for going to college because the way they're headed right now, it's a waste of time. So they'd have to make a strong case for why they want to go.
I love it.
And then, I like that a lot.
That was really good. Next question. What is one piece of actionable advice you would go back and give to your 18-year-old self?
This is kind of weird because our guests are usually a bit older. So.
Well, it's going to make the other one even more important, Jack. Go ahead. Because you guys are a couple years in now. You went through the pandemic. Go right ahead.
Sure. I would write down the 5 people that I hang out with the most, and then maybe write the top 5 habits that they each have, and then see which ones I have as well. And then I'd be very intentional with replacing all the ones with bad habits with people that I could possibly bring into my circle. Worst case, I have 0, and that's okay because I have the internet.
And that's why he might be 20 because of the wisdom of a 90-year-old.
Like
all right, go ahead.
I would personally say I would just tell myself at 18 years old to just find real estate in any way, whether that's multifamily, wholesaling, flipping. You can get started from nothing to doing anything in real estate. You can go from not knowing anything to doing multifamily, not knowing anything to doing flipping, single family, anything. So instead of going to college, I would just say, go do something in real estate.
I like it.
Yeah. And for me, I would say read Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki and Fake by Robert Kiyosaki, and also be cautious of who you take advice from. If you live your life by that and only take advice from people you would trade places with, I think that'll get anyone really far in life.
I like it.
This is like the best.
I know.
Just raising the bar.
Well, on your note, one of the things that people always say, whether it's like stocks and bonds or real estate, everybody was just like, I wish I started investing earlier. You guys are, and you're taking the bull by the horns, and just congratulations to you.
I can't wait to have you on in a decade from now, and you guys are billionaires. We're working for you. It'll be great.
Legit.
I want to take us on.
All right, so we'll wrap up the big 3. What is one thing you would want your 90-year-old self to say to you?
Yeah, I've started like there's a book, I forget what it's name called, but it's the last regrets of the dead or something like that. I'm not sure if you
Okay.
Mike, have you guys heard of that?
I have not heard of that one, but I'll definitely check it out. Yeah.
Yeah. And she interviewed a lot of people that were on their deathbed right before they died. And the one thing that they all regretted, if I'm not mistaken, or one of the top ones, was that they did things that they lived lives that other people wanted them to live. So that's what I try to take into my day. And that's kind of why I dropped out of school. We don't have to go into that, but I just was realizing I was doing it for my mom and not for myself. And Kerwin struggled with that for a while as well. But I was like, you know what? And Kerwin always calls me selfish, but I just like to think I'm like, I put myself first, and then I try to obviously take other people's opinions and stuff into account, but definitely live my life for me and no one else. So that's definitely what I would tell myself.
If I could have my 90-year-old self tell me something, it would just be everything that you did was well worth it. Because I mean, I have kind of, I wouldn't say like, sometimes I look into the future without knowing what the future will look like, just because we're so young, doing what we're doing. But there is no limit. So just my 90-year self telling me, everything was worth it. I just can't even imagine what it'll look like. But yeah.
Great.
Yeah, and for me, we set very high, ambitious, lofty goals for ourselves. So I would say I would want my 90-year-old self to tell me you did it.
That's awesome.
Perfect.
Awesome. Any parting words for the Tell Us Why community?
Take action and don't wait. And you're never too young. If there's anyone out there that thinks they're too young, we started in real estate when we were 17. I was 17 and my older brother was, I think, 19 or 20. So yeah, you're never too young.
Awesome.
Yeah, just go out there and do it. I as I've always said throughout this show, I think the most important thing is who you hang out with. We're very big on networking. So networking is the thing that's taken us the farthest. And that started with having to cut people out. So don't be afraid to cut people out.
And lastly, I would say the number one step, whether you want to be an astronaut, a lawyer, a doctor, a soccer player, or an entrepreneur in any way, just believe in yourself. If you see that there's one human being on this planet that has already done it, that means that it is humanly possible, and we are no different from each other. So if one person can do it, you can do it. And if it's already been done, then that's just proof that you can do it as well. So believe in yourself, and yeah, just go for it.
And don't be a victim, be a victor.
Oh man. Yeah, now you're speaking my language.
Before we let you go, can you tell the people where they can find out more information about you?
Yes, please go to the Real Estate Monopoly podcast. Season 2 will be dropping really soon, and we have a lot of great changes. We had Mike on our show. I'm really excited to share that episode. And www.donisinvestmentgroup.com is our website, and we are at Donis Brothers on pretty much any platform.
Yeah, all the social media. You guys do an unbelievable job, and we'll definitely link to it in us, and I'm sure they'll link to the episode in theirs because this is a must-listen episode.
Absolutely.
Thank you guys for being here. Where can people learn more about Tell Us Why?
You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, Twitter, and now on TikTok.
We're finally on TikTok.
We have nothing on there, but we're on there.
You guys can show us. We need the Donis, magic touch on what to do. I don't know, but this mug doesn't need to be on TikTok, but here we are.
I'll start dancing around a little bit. We'll be good to go.
Even better, if you want to check us out in person, we record most Wednesdays in the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe in Salem. You can also get some Tell Us Why swag at the Tell Us Why shop. And as always, what's the quote of the week?
Quote of the week. I'm not going to screw this up. I promise. Never spend money before you have it. Thomas Jefferson and Michael Ketchen.
Oh, man, I forgot.
That's it for today. Be sure to join us for next week's episode. And until next week,
bet on yourself.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Cafe, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.